Hello, hello. Here's Agi coming to you again from Broadcast Team Alpha. And of course, this is the Paranormal World Show under the umbrella of Broadcast Team Alpha on 44 different platforms out there all around the world. This short little video, I'm doing it more so for the benefit of the researchers out there and the mechanics and maybe somebody that know how to weld and make things, as well as the armchair enthusiasts that like to know about it. This is all for you. I know there are a lot of people out there that feel really proud if they have an automobile that gets 40 miles per gallon, maybe 45 or maybe more. You can't help telling your friends about it. What if you could have had 200, 300, or maybe more miles per gallon? Possibly, could it be that maybe there are inventions that show you how to do that and you were never told? There's things going on in this world, not for your benefit, but for the benefit of the corporations that make things and do things for profit only, no matter what. People doesn't matter. Well, here's a little piece of information for you. Everybody know about the Saab Motor Company out of Sweden. They make airplanes and they made cars. The car manufacturing plant was shut down. It went out of business. And we all wondered why. I have friends in Sweden and they're telling me that, yeah, Saab was going to put out a car that needed no fuel. It's going to be a permanent magnet motor. Guess what? They went out of business before they got the chance to do that. From what the rumor says, is all the banks called their loans and they couldn't pay them off, so they went out of business. The automotive industry, the oil industry is very powerful. Now, here's something else for you. On January 7, 1934, there was a guy in Canada, and his name was Charles Poe. He was a mechanic, an engineer, and he got a patent on a carburetor that got over 200 miles per gallon in 1934. And for those researchers out there that like to have a go at this and maybe possibly start making one, there are drawings on how to do it. Here's the patent number on one of the patents. He had probably about 6 or 7 patents in relation to this. One of them is 2026798. And another patent, 1997497. And there was an A added to that later. I'm not sure what the A is for. With the original patents, they didn't have letters with it. My patent doesn't have letters with it. So if you're a welder and a mechanic, have a go at this one. It's not easy to make, but it can be simplified and it can be very, very interesting for you to make. Now, there's some evidence to this on both sides. If you go to Wikipedia and read about Charles Poe and the 200 plus miles per gallon carburetor, it down at the bottom of the reading, it says, but it was debunked. Of course it is. Of course it is, because the oil companies, they know how to protect themselves. They think that will discourage people. Any mechanic or mechanical engineer or somebody that is a little bit sharp and look at the drawings, they will understand this will work. Ford Motor Company tested it and they got 203 miles per gallon. Breen Motor Company in Canada tested it. They got 204 miles per gallon. I had the test results on my computer, on one of the computers that crashed on me. But then there was some things happened. There were things later where he was trying to get it to market and it didn't work, but he got hired by the motor industry working in an area where they were developing air filters and very well paid. I don't know what happened here. Was he bought off? Because trying to get this to market was a little difficult, a lot of difficulty in it. Maybe they pacified him and say, hey, forget it. It's not going to happen anyway. Come and work with us for something else. I'm just theorizing. Don't take it as evidence what happened to him. But it is very well verified. I have the test results from Ford Motor Company and Breen Motor Company. In fact, there's a booklet out there that can be had where all of these things is explained, the test results and all. So think about that. 1934, we could have had over 200 miles per gallon if the motor industry allowed it to happen. You've been screwed ever since. And this is not the only way. I also know of a guy that started in San Francisco, drove all the way to New York, across the country, 3,000 miles on one tank of gas. And that was verified. What he had was total vaporization of the fuel, not just like it is with a carburetor where you have little bitty droplets. Because when you have a carburetor, which the post carburetor, it's called the carburetor, but it's not a carburetor. It is a vaporization system. Because when you have a carburetor, you have a venturi tube that kind of looks like this, and the fuel is going through the middle, and it speeds up, and it pulls fuel. I mean, the air is going through it. It pulls fuel into it, and it's turning it into small microscopic droplets. With a vaporization system, you vaporize it almost into atomic size. Benzene and all the chemicals in it is vaporized that way. And you get a lot better burning of the fuel. And another system that we experimented with back in Omaha 30 years ago, it is called, we actually used a sonic vibrator. If you have an older car without electronic ignition, one with a carburetor on it, you can take this sonic vibrator. It looks like the nail of the size of a nail of a finger, kind of like a wafer, and it's hooked up to an electric cord that is electrified and it vibrates. We tried vibrations from about 1,500 or 2,000 cycles a second, and not much happened. But then we were able to go to the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. They had some equipment there, which I think it was 15,000 or it could have been 30,000 cycles a second. When we stuck that thing right below the venturi tube, The vibrations from the sonic vibrator atomized the fuel. And we had to turn the idle on the carburetor down to next to nothing. And the engine ran. So yeah, that works also. You can find these sonic vibrators on the internet of probably industrial electronic sites where you can buy parts. We found them after that. We did it with the University of Nebraska. We found one, and they can be had. So for those researchers out there, you can do that. It is very simple, but you have to have an older carburetor system and an older engine. Now, there may be something here that I don't know, but I'm going to say it anyway. And that is that it could be hard on the engine, harder on the engine, because when you vaporize the fuel like that, you're not burning the fuel anymore. You are exploding it. So it is a lot quicker push on the piston going down than just a burn. So I don't know how that will come out. That is something that we never tested. So there's something to keep in mind. And I have some pictures here that will be inserted from time to time into this video that show the patent and the drawing of it, and also how it was put into an engine. So have a look at those patents, and it will make sense to you. Another thing that I want to just mention in the passing is that Mitsubishi in Japan, Mitsubishi Motors, they created a permanent magnet motor about 20 years ago. And they said, it is simple. That thing will never need fuel because there's just two rows of magnets rotating against each other. And it creates torque. When that torque goes through a transmission type system, you can funnel that right back to the rear wheels, and there you go. It is very simple, they said. Toyota is now starting to put out an engine also that needs no fuel. So watch for it coming. These experiments that we did in Omaha, we should have gone further with it, but we didn't. So if any one of you out there is starting to, if you find that sonic vibrator, go ahead and try it on an old engine. If you got an old car sitting around that's doing nothing, start it up, try it, and let me know how it works for you. And I would also suggest, if you have interest in creating a drive system that is only driven by gravity. You have to be a welder to do it, to put it together. You can create the system that runs by itself, stick it up to the end of the house, hook it up to a generator, and it'll run the electrics of your house. If you're interested in doing that, contact me. I'll give you the drawings that I worked out a long time ago. I have never put it together. We did experiment with it in Tucson, and we saw that it works, but I never done anything with it. So if you want to do that, I'll give you the drawings. Think about it. So anyway, I hope I have stirred your interest a little bit for the welders out there, the mechanics, or people that love to make stuff. Stay in touch. Maybe I can give you some pointers in the areas where I have read and studied before and also experimented. So if you like what you heard, please subscribe. There's more good stuff coming, and you do want to know about it. And also, the super chat has been open, so help us out there if you want to. And I think this probably, yeah, just watch the pictures. Run the video back and study the pictures, because it shows how it works. And if you are a welder and a mechanic, you can see how it works. And this is not easy to make, but I can also give you an idea of how much simpler it could be made. There are new ideas now that is previous to 1934. So I think that'll do it for now. So until the next video, be good to each other.